Hello and welcome everybody to the Voro podcast. We are at season 6, episode 13. And like you know, we like to keep our episodes to 13 by itself because we decided to take inspiration from Netflix. So this is the last podcast for the year and we are closing it up with a bang. And I have with me Asha Kulkarni on the podcast. Hi Asha and welcome to the Voro podcast.
Thank you, Kavita, for having me in this, for our podcast discussion. And as you rightly said, the last mile of this year and the bank closure. Look forward to do the bank discussion along
Yes,
with
yes,
you
of
now.
course,
Yeah.
of course. You're speaking of making waves. I just wanted to give everybody who doesn't already know Asha Kulkarni, if you have been in the broadcast space, you definitely have met her at some event. Your paths have crossed as customers, as peers, as colleagues. Asha has been around for decades. She started her career at Tata Elxsi, spending 7 years there. I met her when she was at Tata Elxsi, and she was a fireball of a person who actually shook us out of our complacency when we had first started the company, saying, you guys should be doing something more than whatever you are doing right now. And I was just reminiscing with her just before we started this podcast recording that this is 10 years to the day that I met Asha in 2014 when Hotstar was on the cusp of being launched in 2015. Hotstar launched on February 11th, 2015. And Asha dragged me and my co-founders out to Tata Elxsi and said, speak to my team and see what you can do with Tata Elxsi because you seem to be doing something, but you guys don't seem to be, you don't seem to have it all together, but let's get it together and see what we can do together. And I'm very proud to say, whatever you introduced us at that point in time, Asha, I'm still partners with Tata Elxsi, and they have been a big part of our journey in becoming a mature company, right? And I'm sure that they had their fair share of trials at that point in time because we were so immature. When I think back to how I was and the level of immaturity I brought to the table, I commend the fact that everybody at the table was patient and took deep breaths and gave us a chance. So thank you very much for that. Asha has traversed the entire broadcast arc. She's been with Sina Media, in between with L&T, and now on the broadcaster side, she's with Z, heading up partnerships and partnership managements as VP at Z. Again, welcome, Asha, and I have a lot to talk to you about. But the first question that I have, right, in the entire journey that you have made over the entire broadcast arc, can you point out some parts of this journey that were actually aha moments for you all or for you, or that you knew that this is the turning point for the broadcast space? Like, you spent 7 years at Tata Elxsi and then you springboarded from there and you haven't ever looked back, right? So how has that journey kind of panned out for you, right? And what do you see as the pivotal parts of that journey in correlation with how broadcast is panned out in India and globally as well?
Right. So, firstly, thank you once again, on being on this show. So it's been 10 years, or more than 10 years, in the media services plus product technologies plus, broadcasting. Right? So, couple of moments when I saw, like, when we were using the set-top box technology, which was the very niche video delivery mechanism. We all had seen those. That was the linear system, which we grew up and we adopted. Right? When I was in Tata, India was moving towards the digital adoption of the direct to consumer technologies, which was like Netflix was taught, YouTube was the big. Uh, YouTube was the benchmark to most of broadcasters, and then Netflix came in, then Amazon Prime came in. So India didn't want it to be staying backwards in this technology adoption. As we Indians, we are always forward thinking. We want to do a lot of things. We want to move fast, right? So all the media industry colleagues, right? The technology decision makers, business decision makers, all of them, I had seen a wave of people who were daring to adopt the new technology and deliver the content D2C. Like, I remembered one of the CEO who wanted to launch the first OTT app in the industry. Like, Ditto was the first OTT app in the industry,
Yes.
2012,
Yeah.
IP OTT. I remembered Mr. DSC, Subhashji, who wanted to deliver the content directly to his driver, who has been wasting a lot of time, and he had a vision that, I want to give some content. मेरा इतना channels चलता है. Why can't he watch this content on somewhere? जहाँ बैठ के देखता है. And it was a world of 2G, 2G evolving or revolution of 2G. And I was like, Ave, that, what's happening. 2G does not come in your Mahalakshmi building. And it's like you're thinking of delivering content. He said, oh, it's going to deliver. So that was like something, the visionaries who had that strength to dare and think, no, we will go live to the, or directly to the consumer. And they did not think what happens in this entire process. They just took the benchmark of Netflix or anybody, they went and adopted all the technologies. Industry was learning, content journey was in learning stage, technology adoption was learning, risk taking was learning. So everything was the evolution. We were all learning together. So that was one of the interesting space where I liked. We all learned together. We are all successful together today. All the OTT apps, when I see all of them, because I've been there, part of the incubation story till the launch, right? I really enjoy when I see each one of them in a different space, differently. The platforms have evolved, plug and play to in-housing, and then creating something wow factor like today, Hotstar or Z5. Everything is looked as big platforms, right? So those are the wow factors what I saw when I was actually involved in this migration story or a digital adoption of India's digital media adoption. So I think I am fortunate to get that opportunity to be in the space, and all of us who got involved and we actually learned and we were not looking back. Let's go move forward, and being women in the industry, technology in the broadcasting industry, it was limited. But however, I must thank each of all the broadcasters. There were a lot of men who have empowered me, who supported me within my organization and outside organization. Right? It's been a very interesting journey, Kavita, and that's something which I can never forget. And I've seen all these billboards having Hotstar, Z5 every week. The billboards I used to see when I used to land in Bombay airport. The moment we go down to after the airport, all the billboards of digital displays instead of the hardware displays, right? Where
Yeah.
Sas Bahu used to come, then there is a Hotstar banner.
Logo.
Then there
Yeah.
is a Z5 logo. So I was happy that, I have been part of it and I have been contributing to this. So
Yeah.
that feeling of having that contribution and learning has been a excellent journey.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
can imagine,
that's
Asha.
about it.
Yeah. So the thing that when you're talking about this, you've been part of many mission critical technology implementations at broadcasters that have probably saved their existence. Right. It has kind of turned them around and made them far more relevant to a newer audience and given them a new breath of life. Do you have any stories where somebody where where you were at a crossroad at a broadcaster's behest or any kind of project where they made the wrong decision and then they had to undo it? Is there anything that happened at that point in time where you knew that this is not a good decision for them to make, but they made it anyway? And what happened after that? So, I mean, in the last 10 years, I can imagine there are few and far in between. But do you have any examples where broadcasters did not make the right decision and they paid the price for it?
Yes, I think yes and no. Couple of them. Um, just to point out, one of them is like the data-driven approach, right? All the broadcaster, they were rich at the data of linear technologies. We were dependent on AC Nielsen, or then later it came in as bar data. All of this data, right? India or the broadcasters knew the data works better. How do I utilize this data? When we were adopting on the digital strategy of D2C or the OTT, this entire journey of adoption of the consumer journey with the data driven approach got missed in this entire life cycle. It's by everyone, right? We all focused on getting the right backend, right CMS, right front end, frameworks, delivering the content. How do I deliver my content to consumer? but we did not think I am creating content, I am giving. I want them to watch, but audience is our segment, right? What type of audience will evolve? What should be my future story? How do I navigate my content? The data pipe was missed. What we talk about AI today or a personalization today, I wish we all should have just started. Data was not it's not an old story. We all had a data, analytics teams used to be there. And then, data approach was always there, but I think it was not taken seriously. If that is something, one decision was incubated in between, I think the evolution would have been like today we are thinking of hyper personalization now would have happened then.
Long
And
back.
then hyper personalization of ad driven approach. What type of ads? Ads was the industry. India was, I am talking more about India because my journey has been with
Sure.
Indian broadcasters and 10% of my journey with the, global. So I would continue to talk about more of a Indian journey. So these adoption, right? We should have actually focused on it. Then we would have given, like, everything was a free content. We started giving the content as a free to delivery. Right? We were used to, India is used to the free content. Then we started migrating into the subscription journey. Then the transaction world or pay per view. All of these models were always there in DTH model. And the smart TV evolution, which came in the Z or Hotstar or Viacom, Geo, all of them wanted to integrate. I remembered when the smart TV started, they said that we will incubate the app and we will sell the smart TVs. So it was a other way journey. Now the uh, we or broadcaster needs to look at to which platform or the distribution methodologies we need to adopt. So this distribution ecosystem where the embedded set-top box was the monopoly during that time. We had the challenge of breaking the middleware and cache monopoly. Today we have the challenge of breaking the connected devices monopoly, right? So which is going to be again the challenging aspect of it. So if we could have focused on the data-driven approach, we would have known that where do we need to invest more on our content, where the delivery has to happen. So
Right.
I keep thinking this miss of things which happened
The
because
data
as
layer.
we decided, we always went back like as of yesterday, let's plug in and we move forward. Yeah, that's one thing, and we are never late. We have
We're
started.
never late. I
adopting.
mean, that's the thing about anything to do with media and entertainment, right? It's always a new day every day. You can start off afresh because it's moving so fast that you're getting like a lot of things get obsolete overnight, right? So that's I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing, and you've got to keep up with it. But also, you can always start off whenever. I think when you're talking about the data layer, I think that's something that the West really got right initially, and that's where Netflix kind of moved ahead, even in their content buying, the recommendation engines, how people watch content, and how they really sort of put themselves in the entire like subscription bucket very very firmly, and then kind of came out with the ads business, where India is still not a part of their ads business in terms of the 12 countries that they have advertising on, for good reason, right? Because the kind of subscriptions that we see over here are like 3% of the entire bucket altogether. But from a from a broadcaster's perspective today, right? You're sitting in a seat where it is a decision that you have to make, which is build versus buy. This is an age-old like trope discussion, the conflict that everybody has, and there is also the third part of it, which is buy and enhance, also, right? Which is coming to into play in the last couple of years. You've been on the side where you've sold services, you've sold the fact that you've sold boot programs and so on and so forth, and now you're on the other side where you're actually managing service providers from your experience level, right? So you have both sides of the story. What is the yardstick that you would probably advise a CTO, right? And today, as you can imagine, most CTOs are very young, or they are coming linearly or laterally from a different industry, right? So there is a lot of learning that needs to be done. So if you were to talk to a CTO today who has got this has got this huge issue on their minds in that shit, we've missed the bus on data. We need to make sure that our data management practices are great, or we need to build new tech, or there are a lot of choices that they have to make. How would you advise them to look at what they should build, what they should buy, how should they be investing their entire money as an organization in making themselves relevant?
Yeah, it's a very good and interesting question. I must say that I think I keep hearing this every day. Probably I go through this kind of, surrounding what's happening on this area. So to be relevant, right? Build was definitely here, solution which, offers a customization for all of us, right? Wherein I can control what I want to develop, feature enhancements, just in time market launch, all of this. Earlier, when all the broadcasters were core to their content generation or content producing, um, as I rightly said, there were companies who were only into technology. They were the experts of technology. So they adopted the technology expert companies to deliver the content because they focused on their strength during that time. And they got that, okay, technology companies together to build and deliver. So what has happened as a shift now? So technology and content should come together. So that's the realization which happened in between. So it should be closely worked together. So there is a in-house technology plus there is solutions which are outside, right? So currently I work with a broadcaster where it's a content production house. We are one of the biggest media house. So we develop and deliver both. We have linear platform, we have digital platform, we have studios, right? So all of these platforms are there. So what do we do in this scenario? If I have to suggest my CTO or if I have to suggest any of the technology person at this point in time, we all have mastered the digital delivery now. We know what to deliver. So that is not a problem at this point. We have sorted out on the digital platform scalability, platform adoption, delivering to different platforms. All of that is in place. Um, Using the data, rich data, which is with all the broadcasters, which is required for any, personalization or the content strategy, we all have to build the pipeline of this data. So it comes with the certain technology hyperscalers who are good at all of these things for them to develop their LLMs or the algorithms which are required for them to get the right messaging out. We need to work with those kind of folks, right? We need to combine ourselves with the hyperscalers and deliver what is required at this point in time. Tomorrow, when we actually grow as a big and when we know I would like to have my own LLM strategy or my own GNA strategy, right? So I know that this is my, consumer or audience or my subscriber. I have to give so and so to this particular subscriber. I will give this particular content. I'll do a subscription AI for them, automated subscription AI, which can consume what Asha wants to watch or what Kavita wants to watch, what series, the package with my pattern of watching. That is what has to go in hand. So today we have to focus on collaborating with the knowledge houses where certain technologies and the know-how they bring in at the same time, we get the data. Like I have the huge data for anybody to drive and come back with the predictive things. So this is a combination of it is what we need to work for the future of another 5 years. After the adoption, then the next layer will start. So
Yeah.
that's so it's a combination. See, something which is in house, like I know my content, I can develop, right? I don't think so. I can ask someone to come and do it because that's something we have mastered.
Correct.
We know what to develop and what to give, and we can say that another 3 years what we will do. Similarly, the technology companies who are doing the advanced technologies like Gen AI and other things has to be a combination working with bright minds in India, bright minds, bright PhD scientists. All of these companies who are coming out on the Gen AI is a combo to work. That will
Right.
drive the direction for all of us who are looking at the shift in the media industry, especially.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
That's extremely insightful, right? Because what you're saying is what you don't have core. You don't have it as a core in your organization. You look for specialists to come in to help you understand it, master it, and then after that, should you want to in-house it and actually make it core part of your business, then you start investing in it because you know what to do next. But then that initial start to catch up, to go ahead, etc., you need a good team to be able to set up, and that's extremely insightful. And I hope the CTOs are listening to this so that they do something about it. But I know for a fact that most CTO teams really lean on hyperscalers to give them direction, and there's no pressure, obviously, to hyperscalers. But then a lot of these things. It's a collaborative effort. Like when you're saying it's collaborative, even like it's a combination of build versus buy, it's also deep collaboration between market leaders like the broadcaster that you're working for, along with the hyperscalers. It's not just one way, right? It's like it has to be a trade-off on both sides where you start building new ground, right?
It's basically co-innovation is what everybody should look at this
Very
time.
true.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. Okay, so this question is loaded, right? And you can go all over the place on this. There's no right or wrong answer, right? So now to succeed in the next decade, right? Now because we're meeting after like I'm marking the flag of saying I'm meeting you, after almost a decade. What are the moves a broadcaster needs to make other than data? Like you talked about the data part of it. We need a data pipeline, and this is India centric, right? I believe that India is definitely the future because the kind of growth that we can expect especially in the ad market, is like double digit growth versus like single digit growths in advanced and first world countries. And we also have a large population, and we are creating great content. All of that combined for the next decade, as a broadcaster, what do you think? What are the moves that they need to make sure that they rule the next decade?
So 3 pointers uh, in this. One, on the digital space, right? It has to be a hybrid approach, which has been running, as you know, that A ward, S ward, then T ward, right? So it has to be a balanced approach for all of us, because there is a, huge crowd of A ward where the India likes to watch, or even looking at the sustainability or the ecosystem approach. We need to have the award as a balancing approach, keeping the health in mind, keeping other guidelines in the mind. If I continue watching, binge watching for 5 years, sitting on my couch, that's not really a great for anybody, right? So I strongly believe, as a person and a professional, it's important to have a ads in between. It diverts you. At least you can get up and see, oh, some ad has come. But you will glance through it and you will go. Or you will come back and somebody will watch. Or my son will see, oh, nice ad. Something. So it's a distraction. So we move here and there. So that's with respect to health. Second, with respect to the knowledge, which is important, that ads bring in a lot of knowledge for us, where we don't get to know what is the new segment of consumers who have come in, what I can buy, what is the use of this particular technology or this particular, brand which can help us, whether it is health, whether it is COVID happened, a lot of ads came in, why it is useful, all of this, right? So I believe ad is definitely is an industry which will remain for a long and must to have that. So even the and today, I think we all want to have a hyper personalized ads. I want to see what accessories I have been watching or I like to wear, or what my favorite hero or heroine is wearing, and it's looking very nice. It's trending. So, right. So, I want to, look at those kind of costumes, or the kind of, technology they are thinking in the media industry. So, these are the kind of content. I want to have the personalized content, personalized, ads, personalized packages. Even very important to have subscription. End of the day, you need to always look at the revenue, right? It is a balance between revenue plus the monetization, which has to be done. And at the same time, what is feel good factor of having free content as well. So you need to look at how the watch of the subscriber it's happening, content watch time, subscriber interest, plus package of what is required with GenAI analytics. So you give the hyper personalized content with the localized authentic storytelling. is what we all have to focus, because in India there is a lot of last mile regions, lot of stories are there. We need to bring that up, and if we can start telling those stories, if I can talk about, like, Kantara was a very big hit. It is like a regional and a religious story, right?
Yes.
Everybody liked it because the similar kind of stories are there in every region of India, whether it is north, whether it is west, whether it is, in south. All of this, every region has similar kind of a devotional story where they could connect. So there are a lot of these things. There is a mythology we have heard about our culture. Right? Chennai has a lot of good, temples. We can talk about all of those temples, the architecture, the story behind Cholas, all of this. We
Yeah.
made a story of PS1 and PS2. So yes, those are the content which is there as a rich culture of India, localized content. So bring it to the global, make it local content to the global audience, talk about our stories. If I give my content to in Z Kannada, Kannada audience, in the regions of Kannada metro, then you have tier 2, tier 3, and the last mile segments of villages, right? How can we focus on this segment of different, you know, uh, last mile segments which are in this entire flow? If we can focus on that, that itself is a bigger journey for all of us, because you are giving a content to the segment wise of the towns and the, districts or the within the state. That is also a different story for all of us to work on towards make it, right? And then how do we take the popular content towards making it global and making it localized across? So that's what I feel. That should be a digital Bharat story in the media industry. So we should focus on that. Um, the other very important thing is immersive and the gamification. Right? We all like how the gamification is happening in across. Everybody wants, like, I think till our generation, I think we were not used to so much of a games. We all use chess or carom or physical games, but we see a lot of digital games our kids have been adopting. I see my son doing a lot of games on the digital, but there are a lot of Indian games which can be brought into digital story, right? If you can make that gamification as a different segment on the digital platforms, that's a bigger journey for all of us. And how we can shape the broadcast of Indian journey is on all of these lines. Then immersive technologies adoption, generative AI is definitely is going to be the next big thing. Along with that, very important subject. What we need to focus is ecosystem of our delivery. So delivery is through now mobile devices, connected TVs. Then you have multiple of means to access, right? All the content or a production house or a content or a broadcaster should work along with the ecosystem players very strongly. When it comes to connected devices, what technologies they are adopting, what type of the picturization of features or the screens they want to show. It's all about the visibility, right? What you see on the screen, you consume. It's all about the eyeballs catching on that. So it's the what? The screens are your distribution models, right? Distributors we call, but they are the ones who bring in your consumers to you. Right? So whether it is a small screen, what technologies are adopted by Apple, what technologies are adopted by CTV players, what technologies are adopted by connected devices like Roku's of the world or Amazon Fire Sticks of the world, all of this. So it's very important to actually work hand in hand with all of these things. So technology adoption in the ecosystem, content adoption, then the adoption of new generative AI technologies in place, plus making their revenue customized revenues for each of them who want to watch the hyper personalized content, hyper personalized ads, then hyper personalized subscription packs. That's what is going to change all of our world. Underlying sustainability has to be a huge focus for all of us. We see in the EV world which is happening, the next future has to be on the media
Sustain.
content sustainability. Right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's something which I believe has to be a focus for all of us. So
Yeah.
these are the number of areas I feel, and the very important, the other one is fast channel, right? We have lot, all the content players have a huge library. Yeah, which is a huge library. I'm sure I used to watch Mowgli. I liked it.
Yeah.
Chandrakanta. I liked it. Uh, Mahabharat, Ramayana. I can still think Arun Govind is the Rama in the real life, and
Of course.
Sita is the same person. I can't
Correct.
imagine any other god
Anybody else?
changing.
Yeah. This is like
Yeah,
these are their faces. Yes.
yeah. So if I remember then whenever I used to fly in the flight, I used to think that if Rama is seen in the clouds, it's only Arun Govind. So yeah, that's how it is been, right? So we all have a huge data of library, and that should not go out. And it's a huge content. It's a huge family value based content, comedy, lot of good content we all have developed. So how do we actually put back to those content so that our generation, our older generation, our parents, and our younger generation should actually go back to the stories we all have learned. It's a cultural shift. We all have to continue to educate what type of content used to be there. What was that? So, what trends between the generation from ours to the next and the previous, right? So, we should continue actually putting the circle of the content 360 degree in this means, because fast is a digital free ad,
Supported
sustainability,
streaming.
supported
Yeah.
streaming technologies. So, you have to have this in place, because you can run, my entire library of comedy genre in some place. Or tomorrow we can think of it. We all can think how I can put my, some new content which I want to make it only for any broadcaster should think for the fast focused originals, right? Or fast web series, fast movie launch on Friday evening. These many movies on this particular channel, you can go and buy and watch five
Yeah.
movies
Yeah.
over 3 days.
Yeah.
So there could be a shift in this strategy. These are the interesting things which are going to come, but nothing is going to go away because content will remain, whether it is old or a new, right? It's
Very
just
true. Very true.
thinking that how do we monetize is what we need to work on it. So these are the
Yeah.
means I believe we should continue adopting the digital technologies, and we need to continue driving towards those, disruption of broadcast content for the future of sustainability in the media domain.
No, absolutely. I think this has been the probably the most interesting part so far in the segment because a lot of things that you've touched upon, right, requires, like you said, an ecosystem, but it also requires an army within that ecosystem to be able to enable it, right? So I'm also seeing like there are new types of jobs that are going to be available, new types of industries that will flourish, and media and content. And when you speak about advertising, people sort of trivialize advertising down to all of these things that are more transactional in nature, right? Where things are on sale and you're like, oh my God, my user experience is marred. But actually, what you touched upon was driving awareness, right? Awareness of different types, whether it is awareness from a public health perspective or even awareness for me to bring joy into my life, to lead an easier life, to lead a healthier life, right? I need awareness to be driven on that front as well. And while there are several products that you can make a choice to be able to give you all of these, outcomes of joy and ease of living and all of that jazz, awareness is at the bottom of everything, right? So there is this current battle in the advertising industry where everybody is about performance marketing, driving transactions, driving cart fills, driving return on ad spend and whatever else, and then branding and awareness is everybody's talking about it like I don't know what ROI there is, right? But at the end of the day, if you put the consumer, right, a human being, like you're saying that I want to put that person in the front of all this and see how I can communicate and talk to them, then advertising definitely becomes a sure short way to be able to communicate to your consumer. And
I think you are right, because you have the direct connect to the consumers today.
correct,
It's an
correct.
interactive medium, right? We are
Yeah.
no longer a one-sided, one-way channel any longer.
Yes.
It's an interactive medium. People are open to actually share what they want to watch, share what
Correct.
kind of, even if I want to push the ads, you can have the buy-in from the consumer. And
Yeah.
it is a mutual win-win, both of us,
Correct.
right? consumer is the king, content is the queen, right?
Correct.
So that's how
Yeah,
it is
yeah, yeah.
been today. And
Correct.
AI is driving ecosystem, the army of entire kingdom.
Yeah,
So
it's the
it
regent.
continues to do.
It's the
Yeah.
regent behind the couple. Yes, obviously. Yeah, it absolutely. I mean, and it has to be something that we are all like constantly working in unison together and making sure that the ecosystem actually survives and thrives, right? Not just survives but thrives. But like you said, the India story and the India stories, right, are the future of the next decade. And we touched upon gaming, the richness of our historical stories as well. We see small examples of this in the Western world where people are rediscovering things like Friends or rediscovering things like Seinfeld that are coming into popular culture, like H&M carrying T-shirts with all of these things. What you just spoke about, where you're bringing a family together, the TV is actually the center of a home, right? And multi-generational living today has become normal in India and also outside of it as well. Like people are trying to come back to what it was earlier. But technically, in my house, when I watch television, I have people watching it along with me. I can't watch only what I want to watch. It has to be a combination of what everybody is going to watch. Otherwise, you watch it on your phone or you watch it upstairs on your laptop or you project it on a screen in your bedroom or whatever else, right? But the joy of watching it with other people is something else. And I think people are recognizing it. I recently read an article where Australia has banned social media for below 16. So we are going to move into a and you spoke about sustainability and family values are coming back very big and very strong. Doctors are now like earlier we used to have this thing when a baby was born, your pediatrician would say no sugar till 2 years, right? They would say that. Now they are including no screen till 3 years, right? Because they're saying you cannot affect your child's growth path by just showing them a screen because you're getting them to be like almost hypnotized, and there are a lot of chemical reactions happening in their body that are obviously not good for their growth milestones and so on and so forth. So everything is coming back full circle, and so we need to also be present. What I found interesting and particularly interesting is your fast take, right? Because it is actually a very important aspect for broadcasters who have these deep libraries to think of, and also the fact that we have easy communication to our consumers. I would love it if somebody tells me I have 5 movies that I know you would love, right? To be able to rent and watch, because today I'm willing to pay for some movies, right? And I met somebody who said you must watch this Kevin Costner movie Dances with the Wolves. I can't find it anywhere, right? It's somewhere in the US. It's on Prime. I have never watched it. I've watched snippets of it. I don't want to watch it on YouTube in some bizarre part with some shaky camera. Even if I want to pay, there is no place for me to actually convert that. Now, if a channel offered it to me, I would lap it up, right? I There are times when I tell my kids, "Oh, you must watch this movie. This is a great movie. I enjoyed this movie. I laughed in this movie," and they're at an age where they can watch it now, and I will watch it along with them, right? And it's fun to see somebody else get that same joy from movie or content and stuff. So I want to take a small turn right now towards the end of our podcast. So we spoke about health. We spoke about the fact that there is a need for a break, and this is something that I also acknowledge very deeply, because even I was part of the binge and burn kind of ecosystem, right, where I would just binge that content, like literally like overeat that content, and then have an opinion about it, but it would never last with me. I would never have an opinion about a particular episode or some particular character. I would never fall in love with the story. It was just like this avarice, right? I would just gobble it up because it was available for me. I would just go on and on and on, probably sleep, get up, watch again. So when I start watching those shows back again, I'm like, I never watched this part. I don't remember this. And otherwise, in most other shows, you remember what they wore, what was the background, what they said, certain dialogues, etc. Because it was windowed in a way that your brain was able to remember, right? And the other thing is connections, right? Where you speak to people and you say, "Did you watch this show today? And what did you think about it? Or what do you think is going to happen?" and stuff like that. When somebody says, "No, no, 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 I haven't watched it as yet. Don't talk about it right now," right? I want to wait for the entire episode series to come out. Then I will talk about it. Then you're like, "Shit, I want to make sure that I want to talk about this particular episode." So speaking of that, social media, etc., has become a big deal. So there are certain places on the internet that you can find a lot of these people who talk about what's happening on shows, and you find your friends, right? Back in the day, we used to be friends with everybody on Facebook. Now, of course, we've all moved to other parts, and we also have become very private. And about I don't know, year and a half ago, maybe, I saw an update from you, right, on your health status. And I read it again, reread it, thinking, maybe I'm mistaken as to what I'm reading. And you were basically talking about how you had battled a brain tumor, you had come out of it strong, and that, you were fit and fine. And you in that journey, you realized so many things about life, right? So you're also part of the Manipal Psychology department in terms of being a volunteer for people who are going through this entire, horrific journey. But you've come out of it resilient, and you're a touch wood. You're a vision of health at this point in time. And it also, when I was reading that update, it also made me realize how little we know about people who we work with, who have touched our lives in many ways, right? Like, I genuinely think of you as one of the, flag bearers of women in broadcast, because you were the one who sort of kind of shook us out of our complacency 10 years ago. And, I met up with you in IBC when you were, in Amsterdam, and you were like, I'm so tired of these events, but I got to do it, right? I remember meeting you with cold Amsterdam and being so, and wondering, how do you do it? Because you know exactly how to, people have to know how to work an event, right? And you knew exactly how to work an event, even in those days. And I was taking tips from you, saying, what do I do when, we met for a quick coffee between halls. And you will not know this because you met me because I asked you to meet me, right? And what I wanted to sort of position and tell you right now is that you never know the impact you have on another person's lives, right? And so you never take the time to tell them that. And so I'm telling you that right now. You had a profound impact on mine and my career as well at that point in time. So thank you. I wanted to talk about, what your journey was and what you're doing today in this entire space, right? From a personal perspective, both for women in the professional space. I know that you're part of a consortium called Rise, and you're on their board. And of course, from a personal perspective, like, I'm sure that you have a view on life that is very different from a regular Joe, right? So if you could just spend a few minutes talking about that, and then, we can take it from there.
Sure. Thank you. Firstly, I'm glad to know that, there has been an impact from me to somebody like you. Who's been a champion of doing the woman who had a lot of energy, lot of ideas, lot of things. And she wanted to do lots. 10, 12 years back when I saw you in Star Office first time
Yeah.
with some Excel sheet, and you have been explaining the ad ops.
Yeah.
Interesting learning from you as well, because the ad was a different world altogether for me. And since I come from the strong technology background, it was all a
Correct.
technology. And how do we actually, why do the people ad is important? So you
Correct.
explain. So it's likewise. Yes, it's been a extremely different life journey from past now 3.5 years, where I went through a life shift in my personal thing, and touch wood, and thanks to all friends and family, colleagues, and definitely God for keeping me resilient and being back into this. One, we should realize that we need to balance about what we are doing, about our health, about being conscious, not taking things easy, right? As I've always said, when we sleep, that, sleeping one side of the body, we take it like so easy. But I've seen the phases that, sleeping one side has been a, great luxury. So enjoy that, what you have. So realize that you have lot of things, and focus on that first. Like, I need to live. Life is very precious. Being alive, and along with that, we want to do a lot of stuff. Yes, we have to have an objective or to lead our life, right? But it has to be a balancing act. So give back to the society, at the same time give back to yourself. It's very important. So I realized that, you have to give back to yourself first, and have gratitude of what you have, and have a balanced thinking. Certain things are not going to happen, it's fine. It's okay. Need not be in that race that every time that I need to stress out that, oh, I have to do it. I need to be moving forward. It's okay to let go. That's something which I have learned. At the same time, we all will face someday end of the mile, right? So I have heard this word, which is very difficult to talk about it for all of us. That is very scary word. But however, one who has gone through would have been realized how difficult, how strong, how, what do you learn? Everything is not glorified in that entire process. So, um, you need to be really balanced, you for yourself, whether it is in your health, whether it is in your profession, whether it is whatever you're doing. As long as you are doing something good and something, not harmful, not thinking negative, and keeping yourself upgraded with what is possible. And you have a knowledge, please give it back to somebody. You have a resilience, talk about your story. Don't stop sharing your knowledge with respect to personal, with respect to professional. When it comes to personal, what is relevant, you can definitely share. Somebody can learn from you, which we wouldn't be knowing that, oh, something like this happened, right? I got a call from 4 to 5 people. Oh, how did this happen? What was the symptoms? People were, curious, conscious, and they all could learn. So even I had no idea about this kind of symptoms. So just it's better to talk about it. Nothing wrong. Then, like, how do we give the knowledge of our professional knowledge to so many people? Why not the knowledge of what one has gone through? Not for the sympathy, not for anything, just a knowledge and awareness, which is very important. And how this has also helped me to come back and continue my journey. I must say, I am so thankful to all my friends, colleagues, people, family when I decided that, oh, I have got my life back. I want to sit back at home. Now I will relish my life and enjoy. I still remember many of my customers and friends, they said, no, I don't think so. You should sit back. Not because that, it's that lot of material world. They always believe that, you have a knowledge. You should actually contribute in a manner, how much ever you can contribute back to the industry, in your industry, till the time you can actually do it. The day you feel that, oh, you can't, and you feel that, oh, this is not, and then you want to just be in the life, then you decide. So then I felt that, yeah, why not? Let me take a shift in my career and I will do the same thing in the media industry, but in a better learning. But learning has never stopped. A lot of learning after joining Broadcaster Z. A wonderful leaders to work with, resilient leaders, resilient people, and a very empathetic ecosystem what they have built. And it's a journey altogether, right? And Rise India, or Rise as such for a woman in media, also is a great experience and a collaboration where it's a NGO where we actually help women to women, where people like us, when I was young, I had no guidance that, how do I balance my family, how do I balance my career, but I went with certain flow and certain things what I could manage, right? So same thing, it has not changed to many women. Dynamics have changed. They have got some help and support. Everybody wants to move in the career. They want to balance their life. They want to do multiple things. So it's just a hand holding of how you can balance this phase of yours, and you can still elevate, balance, and grow in the professional. And as a woman, what all you can do in personal, right? So that is something which, I have been helping, mentoring people in the rise, and also in my ecosystem of friends or colleagues, wherever I believe, whenever somebody comes out and says that, what do I do, directly or indirectly, we continue to guide, right? We say that women friends are very important to have, like you need to have the girl gang to have. So I can call it it's a girl professional
Yeah.
ecosystem, where we talk about the professional journey together, and we
Yeah.
learn with each other, and we actually handhold each other, or we lean into each other, I can say.
Nice.
That's been the thing. And when it comes to, on the health patients, and somebody who's going through, who have gone through, or who are facing such kind of a situation, right? So I just talk about my journey, and when they see me, that from in 48 hours decision making to go through a manual of, and then coming back with resilience of not being on the bed. I didn't want to sleep on the bed. I told my doctor, no, I cannot sleep on the bed. It's very scary. He said that, are you sure? I said, yeah, I want to really, start something. Otherwise, my brain will make me weak. So these are, I think everybody wants to go through. Everybody needs just a, it's okay. It will be fine. And it is all in our subconscious mind how they want to fight it. So somebody did for me. I think I'm thankful to Dr. Bufana, who's been I think my surgeon. He actually had a great,
Impact.
counseling. Yeah, he did a very interesting counseling during that time. So similar thing I have been doing for people to come out of it and then take a chance, move forward. It's okay. This is, we need to fight the battle. Nobody can fight. We can continue crying for hours together, years together, but you have to, do for yourself. You're at home or outside, right? Everybody is there. Ecosystem will be there until you get up and move and do something. You have to take care of yourself, whether to make decision, whether to survive, whether to move forward. So as in life, as in profession. So it continues to be like आगे बढ़ते जाना है. So
Correct.
let's move forward. And you for you is always been the best mantra. And talk to people who are good for your health. Talk to positive, culture, environment which is there.
Yeah.
Learn about something new. Learn about your interested areas. Go through all those readings. That will help. So that's what I feel. It is good to have those kind of a journey. And yeah, I'm thankful to have lot of friends who kept calling me, talking to me, and who kept motivating me to come back to work. So likewise, I'm giving back to the society and
Excellent.
the friends. So that's
Excellent.
about it, Kavita. It's an interesting journey altogether, and I think every
Yeah.
day is
And
a
there's so
journey and a
much more.
story.
Yeah, it's so much more to be had. And like you said, we are about our story and like we are the main character. We have to make sure that we are doing interesting things. And I think one of the things that you touched upon, which is very close to my heart, is being conscious about what you're doing, how you are, what energy you're bringing into the room, what you are doing for yourself, for others, and things like that, is something that you realize as you grow older, right? When you're younger, you're full of hubris and, you think you're the cat's whiskers. But you're also blessed with people around you who direct you very well, right? And get you to a path where you're able to see why you need to be conscious about a lot of these things. But I think people
Yeah,
like you, yeah,
that's
go ahead.
true. In my career, when I was young, right, I remembered, I think I had taken 3 flights in same day.
Oh my
One
God.
to Bombay in the early morning. Then I finished the meeting from Bangalore, which was the weather, which was very nice and very good. And I went to Bombay with lot of humidity. Then again, I took the flight from Bombay to Delhi, which was again a cold winter. And I remembered all my colleagues telling, in one day you have shown us 3 seasons, which can only happen with Asha Kulkarni. And this is, unbelievable. We can't work like this here. So some of these things, when, as you rightly said, that too much of ambition, everything we can achieve in the world, we want to do it. That aggression without thinking, without balancing. I wish somebody would have been there who could have told me, it's okay. You can slow down. You
Yes.
can take next day's flight. You sleep. You take a break. But I
Yeah,
didn't do
yeah,
all of that. So I
yeah,
tell, when people want to do too many things at a time, I feel that no, it's okay. Hold on. You take
yeah.
one step at a time. Focus on your son
Correct.
for 1 year and then balance
Yeah,
what you're
yeah,
doing, which is okay
yeah,
to do it.
yeah,
So yeah, you're right. So
yeah.
that's been some
Absolutely,
of this.
absolutely. These learnings are lifelong, right? And you keep having newer and newer learnings. And I think the theme of this entire podcast is be human, right? And make sure that you are acknowledging the fact that you are human. And whether you're creating content, you're creating for a human being, whether you are working in an environment, you're a human being, you're fragile. There's a lot of things that we need to make sure that we keep front and center of this. But I know that I've spoken to you for a really long time. I've enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for being generous with your time today. I've learned a lot, and
Thank you.
I'm sure that people who are listening also have learned a great bunch. I'm sure that people will reach out to you as well. You're part of Rise. If you're a woman in broadcast, I'm sure Asha will be happy to talk to you through Rise. and wish you a lot of luck, Asha. I'm waiting to see lots of great things happen in the next decade as well, and I hope we don't meet after another decade. I probably meet you sooner than that. But thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
for
much.
being on the podcast, and thank you everybody else for listening.
Thank you, Not
Thank you.
Pleasure
You're
talking.
most welcome. Thank you, Santosh. Thank you, Gautam. Thank you, Leena, for producing this podcast, and thank you everybody else. And we will see you next season.